But just like people with a chronic physical illness, for example, arthritis, I don't think we are yet at that stage for this, but or asthma probably, mental illness can actually be managed, and you can still live positive and productive lives even if you have one. It does not mean that your functions will 100% be altered. It can be managed, but definitely help is needed. Number 3, the chances of having a mental health problem is higher in females than in males. Agree?
Disagree number 2.
I protest.
Disagree.
Interestingly, men have higher rates for disorder as alcoholism and ADHD.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
But women, more of the emotional part. We talk about bipolar, probably disorder. It's because the difference actually comes in because men tend not to really open up and talk about it. We women, we go to, this is how I feel, I don't like it. It's much easier for females to actually talk, express their emotions than it is with men. Which is why it is a reminder for men that it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to talk about it. It does not make you less of a man when you talk about your emotions and your feelings. Culturally, of course, there is a history in this because men are, built up to be, you are the man of the house, you should be strong and tough all the time. Do not be a crybaby, because that's not right. That's not what men should be. That's one of those contributing factors. Over the course of time, of course, it's understood. And actually, even in cases of abuse and trauma, men are not exempted. We might think that domestic abuse is only limited to women. No. There are also men who experience that. So, yes, in some cases, it's higher in females than in males, but actually, we can look at it in a different perspective. So let's be nicer to the men in the church, right? Check, ask them how they're doing. Number 4, medication is the best treatment for mental illness. Well informed. Well done. Medication can be effective, yes. And in some cases, medication would be very much needed or be required. But that's not the only treatment. And even with medication, therapy is also needed. It goes hand in hand. You can't just give somebody all the pills and then that's it, leave them be. I'm sure you've seen this. Most are teachers, I understand here, a few are from the corporate world. You may have seen this in your students where, if they're, those who have been diagnosed with ADHD and then they're just given, their Ritalin for the day, then they're just like zombies. Just like that. Because that's where therapy should actually come in. How do they manage themselves in that state of them, being able to stop squirming and stop moving around and talking a lot. Therapy should come in. So it always goes together. There's a wide range of appropriate interventions, and that actually talks about recreational activities. That's, you encourage individuals to have sports, have outdoor activities. Self-help is there, yes. Religious support, that's very, very important. The faith-based support that we have, and that is what we would want to build in our churches. Being aware of this and the need, how do we build that? So really it's a combination for some cases, but for most, the therapy and other interventions would be more helpful, not just the medication. Number 5, people with mental illness are generally violent and dangerous. Not all the time. Not all the time. Some cases cause them to be aggressive and to lose control of their behavior, but there are actually many cases where people are quieter. They even lose the interest of interacting because it's like they just begin finding their own world. Adults are more likely than teenagers to have a mental illness. Agree? Disagree? Not sure. Okay. There are illnesses that are diagnosed very early, but most cases, symptoms would appear teenage years towards adulthood. And if we talk about other problems of mental health, many actually arise because of us being exposed to different experiences in life as we get older. Probably you had a very good childhood, but when you got older, then you went through a lot of these different experiences that contributed to your mental health decline. So that would be the reason. 7, just by looking, I would know who has a mental illness. Disagree. That is actually very unfair. There are people who may act like they are so crazy, but they're really right with their head. They're just silly. That's just how it is. Sometimes with students, this could be, one of the things that we can look at. This student just doesn't want to sit still. ADHD. This one has this added. I mean, it's like in a classroom setting, we see like labels on their heads, like this one has ADHD, this one has ADD, that one has whatever that is. There's a lot, right? But not necessarily are the behaviors sufficient to be the basis for saying there is a problem there. It could just be, in the moment, whatever they're going through. There could be different reasons, so that's not enough. But of course, one of the telling factors is how people appear to me, how they act. There is something's up, if you would know. Somebody who used to be very bubbly and very excited and happy, all of a sudden is just quiet and reserved. That extreme, then of course we can tell. 8, people with mental illness are generally shy and quiet. Not necessarily. There are people who have these problems that result in them intentionally disconnecting from society, yes. But just because people are shy and quiet doesn't mean yet, there's something going on. It could be just they're just that. Just shy, just quiet. Last one. Most people will never be affected by mental illness. Agree? Disagree? We will all be affected directly or indirectly. Directly, that means we might experience it. Indirectly, it could be somebody in your life. And that will still make an impact with you. It could be a friend, a colleague. The effect may not be very strong. It may not really alter the course of your own life the way it would if you are the one experiencing it. But there is still an impact. If this is somebody you work with every day and this person, the way this person interacts or treats you, then that will have an impact on you. Sometimes unconsciously, and it will come out later. So there is an impact. Okay. Can we slow down time? Oops, sorry. So, mental health versus mental illness. Again, let us remove the stigma that when we talk about mental illness, this is a person that cannot function anymore in the society. This person cannot think straight. This person is just not normal. Let us remember, just like our physical health, our mental health can also be affected. That's why we have mental illness. Physically, we can get sick because of viruses, bacteria. Mentally, there will be an illness because of certain things we experience. It could be trauma, it could be very strong emotions, it could be different things. So let's not think, that when we talk about mental illness, then it's about just not being able to think properly anymore, not being rational anymore. Not necessarily. The mental health of the youth. Now, your generation talaga, not my generation. Your generation is very different. And that is because you live in a world where the demands are so much different than it was 20 years ago. The pressures are different. As a parent, that's my concern. My son is growing up in a generation where it's, I don't know. It's hard to find words anymore. He turned 18 actually last week. Don't do the math. Don't do the math. How old am I? He turned 18 last week, but that's my struggle as a parent, and that's what I cry for each night that I go to his room. I sneak to his room. I'm not allowed there anymore. And I pray for him because of the uncertainties that this world has now, and I can't imagine what the world will be like for him by the time he is an adult, just like you are. Your challenges are very, very different compared to before. The pressure in terms of relationships, work, cultural factors, you being away from home, away from family, you being alone. After a hard day's work, you go home to your apartment, quiet, you try to cook dinner for yourself, and then, go to work again the next day. We do not call home to tell them how we are because we know how it is already back home, and it seems like we actually are more comfortable here than they are. So all these different factors have an impact in our mental health. And if this is not addressed, then it will definitely affect how we function in the long run. At the moment, probably not so much, but the long-term effects would really or definitely be there. I would like to bring this up though. Dangers of self-diagnosis. Google is always present. It's just type, AI is already there. And if you have questions, you can just type it out. I remember at school, we had a program, we were reminded for students to be taught proper skills in terms of interacting with AI, because there have been cases of individuals who, personality-wise and their own experiences, they've chosen not to be socially connected in the right way, and so they found their connection with AI because AI responds, and that has not helped them when it comes to their functions. Cases of young adults choosing to end their lives. It's one of the dangers if the balance is lost. So let us not self-diagnose. If you think you're going through something, talk to someone. You do not have to go make an appointment with a psychiatrist or a psychologist right away. Probably you just need somebody to talk to, just to express whatever it is that you are experiencing. But it is not good that you just have a label because you've heard or you've read that these symptoms, you have to check this, check, I get all of these, then I am depressed. Or I have a depressive disorder. Because this, then I have this kind of label. And more than anything, what I really want to emphasize is please know, if ever you have a diagnosis or if you have self-diagnosed yourself, please always remember that does not define you as a person. That does not define you as God's child. Whatever the label is, because more than anything, it's something that we can work out, and we always have a door open. We just need to ask. It will be given to us. We just need to seek, and we will find it. Need to knock, the door will be opened. How do we support mental health? There are different ways. We know that people go through this for different reasons. The challenges are not the same for everyone. Our backgrounds are not the same. I grew up in a home where my parents were authoritarians. So it's because I say so as an adult, no questions asked for you. Now, it somehow helped me in terms of discipline and obedience, but other areas not so much. Your background may be different. I don't know, you had permissive parents, you had absentee parents, or you grew up in a home where your parents were really present in your life, very supportive. that had an impact. Now, as you grew older, you had different experiences at school. My generation, we all had labels. Bullying was not a thing that we knew back then. So our nicknames would be based on our ethnicity, our physical appearance, whether we're tall or short, dark or light, that would be the name we have at school. I was called Dangs. In our vernacular Visayan word, Dangas, that's somebody with a very white forehead. So Dangs, how are you? I remember being told that. I don't remember feeling bad. A little conscious, I guess, personally. But I've always taught myself, so what if I have this forehead? I'm smart. That was just how I dealt with it. Over time, it's very different. When people became more aware that these labels actually are not very nice, they can be hurtful. But we've always, because we found them funny in the past, then, it's okay. Why do you have to be bothered now? It's all right. It's just, something that people say. And, well, really, you look like that anyway. What's the worry? But over time, people becoming more aware that this actually hurts, and the hurt can impact people in different ways. How they perceive themselves, them losing confidence, them not seeing their value. It comes out probably in their relationships, in how they interact with people, or in the workplace. So it could be different things. We support mental health by being aware of this. And as we go along in the topic later in the afternoon, the mindfulness part will be something that I will emphasize that will help us continue to support young people's mental health here at church. Know that you have a family away from your families, and that's your churches. And know that you may be a quiet member of the church. You probably don't sing or speak in front. You usually sit at the back and you just smile and nod at people. And you might think that's all I can do in the church anyway. Actually do. Yes, but that quiet presence you have may mean something to someone. Know that you have a role to play in the church, and it doesn't have to be very big like everybody else. There is a role that everyone can play to support each one. Circle of control. This is one exercise that's usually taught for younger children and teenagers, but this is something that we adults can still learn from. We always have a circle of control. If I have with a teacher, okay, so there's this circle. Inside that circle, just imagine inside that circle, or maybe you're already inside that circle, are the things that you can control. You can control your choices, what you want to eat, what you would like to wear today. You can control how your things are arranged at home. That's how you want it to be. So there are things that are under our control. That means when we decide to do it that way, then that's how it will work out. We decide to be angry, we will be angry. We decide to be quiet, we will be quiet. Outside of that circle is a bigger circle. And sometimes this bigger circle can be very strong. And that's the circle that's beyond our control. Outside our circle of control would be, an example, with the weather. It's really beyond us. We can't control the weather, which reminded me, by the way, it was 22 degrees this morning. Temperature has dropped. We cannot control traffic, how traffic will be. That's outside of our circle of control. I cannot control what people think about me. I may not agree to what they say about me and what they see me to be, but really that's beyond me. I can't go to every single person, no, I have to convince you, I really like this, you know what, and explain. That's not going to work. So let's always remember, within our circle of control, that's where God gave us the gift of CHOIC. That choice. What to do about these things. He can be very cunning, though. He will work on that circle within us. Because when we feel so weak unbalanced and struggling, then we give up. We forget we actually have control over these things. I can do something about this. And then the outside, that's where we get so annoyed. I drive, and I'm not very patient on the road. So somebody cuts me, that triggers my emotion. I'm in a rush, and then all of a sudden, why is there just so much traffic? Oh, because there's this, car that parked on the curb and started unpacking their things instead of them moving really away from the road so that people can just go through. These little things. But that's beyond us. So what do we do about the things that are beyond our circle of control? Should we allow these things to affect us? And then it gets us all worked up, and then we lose our patience, we become angry. When we get angry, we go to work angry, and everything is just, it's like a spiral going down. Let us remember the circle of control that we have. There are things that we can do. Let's ask God to help us manage that. Because when we do, the things that are beyond us are just those noise, extra things. We may be affected in one way or another, but not necessarily to the point that we are unable to function appropriately and we lose self-control or self-management. Healthy boundaries. That is very important to also learn. I am a person who is a people pleaser person. I have a hard time saying no. I feel bad when somebody asks me, could you please do this? And my list is already full, but okay, sure. And then when I get overwhelmed, then I'm the one experiencing the hard things in my head and in my heart. But it is important for us to learn that boundaries are actually not wrong. And even God designed boundaries. He did not just create day at the beginning of creation. He made day and night because he saw it. It is important that there is day, but there should also be night. Because already in his design, there will be living creatures, human beings. And for him, that is important. That even after creating everything, he put a day of rest. That is a boundary. And that's something that we need to practice. We might think that creating boundaries means we separate people from us. Like, okay, you're just there, I'm here. I'm this, you're that. That's not what we mean with healthy boundaries. It's talking about us knowing how far we can go, and if we feel, I'm already tired, I think I already have enough on my plate for today. It's okay to say, I'd really love to help, but I'm really sorry. At the moment, I have so much I need to finish. If I can, probably tomorrow or next week, I will catch up with you and let's see how I can help you with that. Creating boundaries. Just you understanding that you are a human being who also needs to take a pause and rest. And that's the same thing with relationships. An unhealthy relationship that's causing you to experience very negative emotions, that's not helping your health, a boundary can be created, and that's okay. The Bible reminds us that we can always come to the Lord. This is what He said. Come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Is there a condition in this invitation? Is there a condition? Does it say, come to me when you've given your all? Come to me when you have finished all of these things. There is no condition, brothers and sisters. It just says, come. That's just even one word. It doesn't matter. It didn't say, come to me when it's 1 to 100. If it's only 1 to 2 of your list, you don't need to come to me. That means you're fine. You can still do it on your own. Sometimes we feel that when it's too heavy, that's when we come to the Lord. It should be, we just come to Him whenever that is. We don't even have to wait to carry all the burdens and then, Lord, it's too heavy now. Finally, I will come to you. If us coming to Him for every single thing that we experience is us actually surrendering to His will. And that allows Him to work in us and through us. not to wait for the heavy things to happen first before we come to Him. And His promise is, there's no other thing there.